people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A string of tweets from Shakur Stevenson's 2-3-day rampage. Tim Bradley started off saying how he truly felt on the air. Then the higher powers told him to switch that energy up. My boy Kriegel jumped in the ring and asked mostly negative questions because the higher powers told him to do so.
You mean because you promised a show-stopping performance and failed to deliver one?
Tough game. Stay strong out there. When they're against you, they're gonna send everybody at you to try and destroy you.
You mean like you were trying to destroy their reputation by saying that they stalled your career and didn't know how to promote you?
It's the lack of accountability in today's youth that gets me. That here you have Shakur Stevenson, who made all sorts of empty promises ahead of the match that he would deliver a show-stopping performance so that when he's asked about it, everybody else is the bad guy. Everybody's against him.
He's mad at Mark Kriegel for asking him about it.
He's mad at Tim Bradley. He said Tim Bradley is another sellout. ESPN writes his checks, so he's going to listen to whatever the higher-ups tell him to say.
What about Cameron Giles? What about Mason Betta? They're not on ESPN's payroll. They thought the fight was boring.
That's why nobody fucks with your bald-headed ass, you bum. And you actually were a decent fighter, but time my career is over, I'll have way more knockouts than you. Stop talking like you was Tyson, and bro,
As opposed to all the people that fuck with you and rock with you.
I'll have way more knockouts than you. Stop talking like you was Tyson, and bro, your fucking head is shiny as fuck.
Is that an insult?
I fought Yoshino, lit his ass up, then they said he's a hibachi chef. I outboxed Edwin using my legs. They said I was running. I stepped to Artem, walked forward all night, barely got hit. They say I'm boring. One thing you learn coming up is, long as you're winning, they have something to say. Regardless, young fighters take notes and stay focused. They can't stop your hustle, no matter how many people they get to try. I'm a one-man army, and I ain't ducking my taco with none of you guys. Fuck y'all.
How is it that he was laying off and laying back with Edwin De Los Santos, where he was coming forward and pressing the issue with Artem, and people still say the performance was boring?
When he's hanging back, they say he's boring. When he's coming forward, they say he's boring. Why is that?
Because he's still fighting a safety-first fight, even when he's coming forward. I said it in my weekend recap video. Shakur Stevenson was punching in sequence. It's tantamount to taking turns and only really letting your hands go when it's safe to do so. So you're saying he should let his hands go when it's not safe? I'm saying that when you're not taking chances, people can tell. I'm saying that when you're not taking chances, they're gonna call you boring.
All they're talking about is me, good or bad. I don't give a fuck. They're watching, they're hating. That shows you how great I really am. I went and dominated my fight, came forward all night, and they're still on my nuts. I'm a bad man. Hashtag chasing greatness. Yeah, Kerr, keep the ball rolling.
If he didn't give a fuck, he wouldn't have spent the last 2 or 3 days on a rampage arguing with anyone from Marcus Brown to Ishai Smith to taking shots at retired rappers.
If he didn't care.
Podcasters.
If he didn't give a fuck. Clearly, he does. If he's been on a rampage for as long as he's been on a rampage. Ishai Smith stated, I've never seen someone be on such a verbal attack after a win. It's quite mind-blowing. Some interaction is cool, but this is over-interaction. Why do you give a fuck what people think? You shouldn't.
The great ones never do.
Shakur responded by saying, the same reason you've been talking about me for days. You can't stop thinking about me. I'm in your head rent-free. Shout out to AB. He taught me all publicity is good publicity. He would have kept his head on straight. He would have been one of the biggest stars in the world, believe it or not.
Is he talking about Adrian Broner?
Now, it's a guy who knows the game and knows how to keep my head on straight.
It's a tired old trope a cliche that all publicity is good publicity. Well, it's only really as good as its ability to translate into dollars. You can turn that into money.
So how is people saying you're boring a good thing? How do you turn that into money?
I don't know. We'll see.
Shakur Stevenson has admitted that he feels Gervonta Davis's knockouts affect the way people judge his fights. People are blessed with different abilities. He's blessed with the ability that if he cracks you, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna go down. I'm blessed with amazing eyes. I can see punches coming my way and get out of the way of them. They probably are judging me from a scale of him. At the end of the day, he's a great fighter. He's a special fighter.
But I'm special in my own right, too.
In a very general sense, the fighters never take well to criticism. They never handle it well, even when it's warranted, even when it's constructive and useful. They never take criticism well. They almost always immediately become defensive. This, what we've seen the last 2 or 3 days, that's just overkill, amplified by the presence of social media. That many more people telling you how they feel, what they think.
Where before you might have had to read about it in the newspaper.
Or wait to get asked about it by an interviewer. These days, you don't have to look far for somebody to tell you what they think about you.
And you must want to know, because you could have logged off your social media at any time. You could have hit the off button.
He's addicted. And underneath it all, he knows that to some degree, to some extent, the criticism is warranted. And he doesn't like it. So he gets on the defensive. And you know Shakur, when he gets on the defensive, he really gets on the defensive.
To the point he's getting booed for 36 minutes and he wants to blame everybody else for it.
He tried. I think he made an earnest effort to fight a different fight than the fight that he fought against Edwin De Los Santos, but ultimately it fell flat with a lot of people, and you just can't control people's reactions. The silver lining is, in spite of all the bad press he's received since Saturday, Eddie Hearn has revealed that Shakur Stevenson is set to attend Jaron Boots Ennis versus David Evanesian this weekend amid interest in signing with Matchroom. Right now, Shakur Stevenson is one of the most talked about fighters in the world. I know I can make him a star. That's easy for me. I've got the dates, I've got the platform, I've got the megaphone. Let's do it. But is Eddie Hearn willing to spend what Top Rank was spending on Shakur Stevenson? Because he don't come cheap.
$3 million a fight.
And understand that they offered him an extension that would have allowed him to keep making that same money under their promotional banner. He rejected it.
Because he wants more money?
Does he think he can get more somewhere else, or is it that he just wants to change his decorum? He doesn't like Top Rank, he doesn't want to be there anymore, and he'll take the same money if he can be somewhere else.
So if you go to Matchroom, you put distance between yourself and Top Rank's fighters like Vasyl Lomachenko. Not that Shakur was about to fight him anyway, because he wasn't, but what about Denis Berinchyk?
I don't think Top Rank is going to give Shakur access to Dennis if he signs with Eddie. Eddie, who said, Shakur is one of the most talked about fighters in the world. He rated extremely well on ESPN, and as I understand, there was a really good crowd in Newark. I know I can make him a star. He will come to Philadelphia on Saturday. He will look around, and he will go, fuck me. I've got the dates, I've got the platform, I've got the megaphone. Let's do it.
Boots did it. Jaleel Hackett did it. Jaleel, he's going to be fighting on that same show this Saturday, making his Matchroom debut.
Does Eddie Hearn and Matchroom really have the answers that Top Rank didn't have for Shakur? I say no. As optimistic and ambitious as Eddie Hearn is, I'm not sure he has the answers for a lightweight, because Matchroom doesn't have much of a stake in that division. Now, if Shakur were to move up to 140, Matchroom's got a lot going on at 140.
But not at 135.
And this is the problem with being in denial. This is the problem. You can't fix a problem if you're not willing to admit that there is one. That your problem really wasn't Top Rank. Top Rank promoted you to the point to where every time you get out there, you do decent ratings on regular television and you draw a decent sized crowd. All of that is a byproduct of Top Rank's promotion, where you say they don't know how to promote you.
That's bullshit.
If they weren't promoting you, you'd be fighting and no one would show up, no one would know where it's coming on, who's showing it, who's airing it, where is it taking place. If they weren't promoting you, over 8,000 people wouldn't have shown up. You didn't do that by yourself. That's their promotion that got you there.
The inconvenient truth.
Out of the amateurs, Top Rank was your best option because they were the ones willing to invest the most money in you, not Mayweather Promotions, not the PBC, not Golden Boy, or anybody else. You made a decision to sign to Top Rank because they made an investment in you, and now you're acting like there's something wrong with them.
What?
Wanting a return on that investment, because that's what this is.
That's what these fighters do.
Not just Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez too, Mikey Garcia too. These ingrates.
What are they if they're not ungrateful? Top Rank is making an investment in you. When they sign you and they do your fights and they promote them, that's not your money they're using to do that. That's their money. They get you the chance to fight for these titles, showcase your skills. And what I'm saying,
Top Rank spends a lot of money grooming these fighters and building them up so that after a while the fighters can start acting like they did all that on their own.
doesn't work like that.
It literally doesn't work like that for any fighter, from Floyd Mayweather to Miguel Cotto to Mikey Garcia to Terrence Crawford to Shakur Stevenson.
No, I'm not telling you that he's got to fight under that banner for the rest of his career or the rest of his life. If he is so deciding that he would like to change his decorum, maybe it's time to do that. But don't act like they didn't do nothing for you.
All the bargaining power you have now is a byproduct of the investment they made and the money they poured into your career. That if you can now go to Matchroom and ask for anything in the neighborhood of $3 million a fight, that's because that's what Top Rank was paying you.
And that's why you went with them, because they were willing to pay you that.
So that you can act like you're the best thing smoking and Top Rank won't know what to do without you. They already have your replacement. Abdullah Mason.
Pay attention.
Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn Davis, Shushu Carrington.
They don't ever put all the eggs in one basket.
They know what they're doing. That's why they've been around so long. Thus, if you want to walk, you can walk.
They'll be okay.
You ain't the first fighter that thought the grass was greener on the other side. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. That's for you to find out, my friend.
But the only reason so many people already know who you are here today, it's because of Top Rank and how they promoted you.
It has everything to do with the investment they made in you. And just in keeping with the theme of all things Top Rank, this weekend, Top Rank's own Janibek Alimkhanalai is going to be defending his 2 alphabet titles against New Zealand's own Andre Mikhailovich, a New Zealander that's based out of Australia, unbeaten up-and-comer that, to my knowledge, has never fought outside of that region of the world, outside of Oceania.
26 years old, an orthodox fighter to Janibek, who's 31, and a southpaw.
Tail of the tape, they're about even in terms of height, in terms of length and wingspan. It would seem that Andre has a little bit more of that, though it is negligible.
He's got a bit more pro fights, too. Sports a record of 21-0 to Janibek Alimkhanalai, who's 15-0. 5 less fights than the challenger.
Though who you fight matters just as much as how many times you fight. And Janibek has proven a bit more in his 15 fights than Mikhailovich has in his 21. Yes, Janibek's resume, while it's nothing to write home about, it is more of a world-level resume than what you get from Andre. The scalps of Rob Brandt, Vincenzo Gualtieri, Stephen Butler, different fighters from all around the world.
Denzel Bentley.
Fighters from the UK, fighters from Germany, fighters from America. Janibek does have more of a world-level resume compared to Andre. This is a big step up in class for Andre, from fighting local guys and staying local down there in Australia to the world stage against the unified middleweight champion. I hope he's ready for this.
Gonna be pretty far from home.
And this will be the second weekend in a row that a show on ESPN goes head-to-head with a show on DAZN. Last weekend, it was Shakur Stevenson's fight going head-to-head with William Zepeda's fight. This weekend, it's Janibek's fight going head-to-head with Jaron Ennis's fight. And being honest with you, I'm more interested in Jaron Ennis's fight, the Matchroom show. This weekend, the DAZN show is the better show.
I think it is.
But we'll see the plight of Janibek Alimkhanalai and what seems the losing effort to try to make him a draw, try to make him a star here in the United States, but it's very hard to do that when there are no stars at middleweight. At this time, I mean, even amongst the champions, Erislandy Lara may be decorated and a veteran, but he's not a star, and Janibek doesn't have access to him. The same applies to Carlos Adames, newly crowned WBC champion. He might be a champion, but he's not a star.
He's not a draw.
And where he used to regularly take to social media to call out Janibek Alimkhanalai publicly, since he got that belt, since he was elevated to full champion, he don't have the same energy. Now, he doesn't want that fight as much. He doesn't want that fight as bad. The word round the campfire is he signed an extension to stay on the PBC side of things. So I get the sense he's not interested in unifying. Not right now.
Enter Andre Mikhailovich to keep Janibek Alimkhanalai busy, what doubles as a keep busy fight and a mandatory defense.
Janibek Alimkhanalai last saw action late last year in October in what was the unification match against then-champion Vincenzo Gualtieri, but that was so lopsided.
Uneventful.
What really was one of the more ho-hum unification matches I've ever seen. Vincenzo looked like he didn't even belong in there with Janibek Alimkhanalai, so hopefully Andre can show a bit more spirit, and even if he loses, just make a fight of it. Give a good account of yourself. If you do, maybe they'll bring you back to fight somebody else.
Janibek Alimkhanalai fought 2 times last year, whereas Andre, he only fought once.
He fought once in April of last year, then fought again in April of this one. Opposite the ring, Les Sherrington, who he stopped in 1 round. So on some level, Andre can punch. On some level, he can, because in his last 6 fights, 5 of the last 6 ended by way of knockout.
2 of those fights were against unbeaten fighters.
Unbeaten Alex Walters and then unbeaten Edison Saltarin.
Expecting any surprises this weekend?
We'll see. We'll get more into it. In the absence of big names in today's middleweight division, marquee fighters, the best thing you can do is keep the fighter busy, keep the fighter active, in the hopes that he'll rack up enough highlight reel knockouts and highlights overall that maybe people will start paying attention.
So Gennady Golovkin did it.
I heard earlier today that Chris Eubank Jr. signed a pact with the people over there at Sky Sports and Boxer. He left Wasserman. He was with Wasserman for a long time, and now he's with Boxer and Sky Sports. And Sky, as we all know, is Top Rank's UK broadcast partner. Is it possible that we might get a Eubank versus Alimkhanalai fight down the line?
Anything's possible, but I don't know how likely it is.
The name of Chris Eubank Jr. is worth some money. At least in the United Kingdom it is. So much so that he can make money staying domestic, staying local, fighting local guys, that he doesn't need a belt, he doesn't need to fight for one to get decent-sized purses. But that's all within the UK, in that biosphere. Outside of it,
I don't think he wants to step outside of it.
fight by fight, I think he's already making more money than Janibek Alimkhanalai. So when you think about that, I don't think he needs to step outside of it. Of course, I would love to see Janibek beat the brakes off of this guy, but the fact of the matter is, that fight might never happen.
Accenting Janibek's problem, he is an unwitting member of the Who Needs Ya club.
It's going to be in action this weekend. If he takes care of business, I don't know who he's going to fight after that.
This is his first fight of this year.
It's conceivable that he may fight again in the fall or winter months, provided he takes care of business this weekend. Talk a little bit more about the fight as the fight date approaches.